And that's one of the things about Antifa. You've heard President Trump say multiple times they are organized, they are a criminal organization, and they're very organized. You're seeing people out there with thousands of signs that all match, pre-bought, pre-put together. They're organized and someone is funding it. We're going to get to the funding of Antifa. We're going to get to the root of Antifa, and we are going to find and charge all of those people who are causing this chaos in Portland and all these other cities across our country. Talk to all the influencers who have been threatened and beat up and their lives threatened from Antifa members. It's going to stop under Donald Trump.
Bondi pointed to matching protest signs and alleged funding as evidence of coordination. This argument deserves careful deconstruction because it relies on an assumption about the relationship between visual uniformity and organizational control. Matching signs can indeed indicate central coordination. A campaign or advocacy group might print thousands of identical placards to ensure a consistent message or to make an image more striking for the cameras. But matching signs can also arise organically through mimicry and social copying. When a slogan or design goes viral online, dozens or hundreds of local participants can reproduce similar aesthetics without a single coordinating body. Think about viral memes. Once a design template circulates, any local group can replicate it cheaply. Further, matching signs can be produced by small clusters of volunteers who buy poster board and markers in bulk, print stencils, or share files of printable signs in email threads or social platforms. That look of uniformity does not automatically mean there is a funding pipeline or a shadowy financier. Or admission. Without that, the claim functions more as insinuation than proof. When public figures rely on visual surrogates for proof, they exploit human heuristics. People assume patterns imply planning. That cognitive shortcut works well for headlines and talking points, but is weak evidence in a legal or journalistic sense. Right-wing groups have openly organized mass transportation, e.g., buses for protests, yet conservatives accuse the left of secret funding. This point highlights a double standard in political narratives. Organizing transportation, securing buses, coordinating departure points, selling tickets is a common tactic across the political spectrum. It is logistical work activists, campaign staffers, and civic associations often arrange charter buses to mobilize supporters. On the right, this has sometimes been acknowledged openly. Campaign operatives or allied nonprofits will advertise ride options and even fund travel for sympathetic constituents.
Castro and Pam Bondi are looking into is, the funding of these groups. Who pays for the buses to bus a lot of these folks in, who pays for the trucks that have riot gear that they hand out to the peaceful protesters. And I hope they are peaceful here, the No Kings protest, whatever.
The No Kings protest is organized publicly by many progressive groups, not a covered operation. The transparency of modern protest organizing often contradicts claims of secrecy or criminal conspiracy. Many organizers publish event permits, contact information, safety plans, and coalition lists precisely to demonstrate legitimacy and attract volunteers. This openness has strategic benefits. It helps coordinate medical volunteers, legal observers, supply distribution, and media liaisons. It also forms a public record that can be cited when authorities or opponents claim illicit intent. Moreover, the coalition model is common among progressive movements. Multiple groups with overlapping missions sign onto a shared platform, each contributing volunteers, expertise, or local networks. That collaborative model is inherently public because coalition partners expect credit, fundraising transparency, and accountability to their supporters. Labeling such a coalition secretly funded would require evidence that funds flow under the table or that organizers are concealing major backers. Claims that can be tested and verified. In the absence of such evidence, the most reasonable inference from a public coalition page, visible logos, and event permits is that the protest is an ordinary civic coalition. Republican leaders are portrayed as afraid that mass, peaceful protest will politically embarrass their administration. This is a political reading of motive that has historical precedent. Mass protest has a way of shifting narratives because it makes visible what otherwise remains symbolic. A crowd that spans demographics, regions, and social classes carries a message that is hard to reduce to partisan talking points.
Rally this weekend, which is going to be the farthest left, the hardest core, the most unhinged in the Democratic Party, which is, a big title.
I bet you see pro-Hamas supporters. I bet you see Antifa types. I bet you see the Marxists in full display, the people who don't want to stand and defend the foundational truths of this republic.
This weekend, we'll see mobs of radicals at the I Hate America rally. And you'll see them across the country.
There's 250 different far-left progressive groups that are part of this No Kings rally on Saturday. You can go on their website and you can see it. Their logos are prominently displayed. As Speaker Johnson correctly said, this is a We Hate America rally. And the bottom line is the Democrats, the far left, are very upset the fact they lost the election last November. President Trump won the landslide. We reclaimed the United States Senate. We have the House. They are frustrated. They're angry.
And on the 18th, they have the Hate America rally that everybody knows is coming.
The fear of embarrassment is not merely vanity, it is political pragmatism. Leaders worry about optics images of cities filled with protesters, of long lines at rallies, or of peaceful national demonstrations can become defining images of an administration's unpopularity, and in democracies that can result in lost elections, legislative setbacks, and reduced governing mandate. Accusing protesters of illegality is therefore a preemptive strike to neutralize the threat or at least reshape the story. Organizers like Indivisible's Ezra Levin argue that mass people power is the check on authoritarianism and urge people to show up. This perspective anchors the movement in democratic theory. Indivisible and similar groups argue that the long-term defense of democratic norms depends as much on civic engagement as on courts and institutions. Mass rallies function as a civic display that reaffirms social norms when people gather to demand accountability. They reassert the idea that government is responsive to the populace. Organizers emphasize peaceful discipline, signage strategies, and legal observer programs because they understand the political stakes. Nonviolent discipline helps maintain public sympathy and denies opponents easy claims of violence. The call to show up is not merely theatrical, it's a strategic signal. High turnout at visible demonstrations can shape the news agenda, encourage sympathetic officials to act, empower dissenting voices within institutions, and create networks that persist beyond a single day. For organizers, the success metric is not merely the number of bodies on a street, but the connections, energy, and organizational capacity that persist afterward. Labeling peaceful protest as criminal is framed as fear-based rhetoric meant to suppress dissent. This statement reiterates the causal chain between rhetoric and suppression. It recognizes that criminalizing language can be weaponized to justify repression, increased surveillance, pretextual arrests, aggressive crowd control tactics, and legislative proposals to curb public assembly.